Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Live at 4.
It's Friday.
We made it.
We made it. It's going to be a snowy weekend,
yeah,
too.
It's the way it sounds, especially for areas west of Madison. We'll get to the weather in a bit. But first, here's what's happening this Friday as we prepare for the snow overnight. New York City is still reeling from their first big storm of the season.
A rare November storm. They rarely see a storm this strong in November.
They didn't, stronger than they thought.
Yeah, 6.5 inches, I think.
It's quite a bit. Look at that.
Gridlock. CNN reporter Jim Acosta gets his White House press credentials back after a court rules against President Trump.
And Roger Staubach joins Elvis Presley and Babe Ruth as some of the unlikely people awarded the Presidential Medal of Honor.
Let's take a look outside on this Friday afternoon. No snow yet, but cloudy and cool outside.
It feels like it's going to snow. Notice they brined a lot of the streets getting ready for the snow overnight. The weather words, let it snow. Chris Reese couldn't be happier about all this. He is ready.
That's right. If it's going to be the weekend and it's going to be cold, it might as well snow. After all, it is that time of the year. But let's go ahead and show you guys how things are shaping up. We do have an alert day as we go through your Saturday morning for the snow that's moving in. In general, it's going to be 1 to 3 inches, and some folks will pick up upwards of 4 inches, especially the farther south and west you are. So if you live in the northeastern side of Dane County, you're going to be closer to the 1 to 2 inch range. And then as you work further out towards, say, places like Mount Horeb, Barneveld, that's where you're going to be closer to that 2 to 3 inch range, and then 4 to 5 as you get closer towards Platteville. But we do have winter weather advisories for that. Those winter weather advisories extend all the way back into the Dakotas for this system working in. But in the meantime, temperatures are falling. We're at 35 degrees in Madison right now, 33 in the Dells, and the freezing mark really is not all that far away. But check this out. You have a temperature gradient across Iowa. So 34 in Waterloo, 46 in Des Moines. That's going to set the stage for a heavier band of snow to set up and likely work through northeastern Iowa and into extreme southwestern Wisconsin as we go through the overnight hours. And already we're starting to see the snow develop in parts of northern Iowa, and that entire system as a whole working its way towards us, and we will see that move in as we go through about the next 5 hours to 10 hours or so. Here we go. Cloudy out there right now. The temperature, of course, 35 with winds out of the west-northwest at 8. And by about 10 o'clock, that is when we will begin to see those first flakes of snow falling here in Madison with temperatures right around 38 degrees. Let's go ahead and show you first alert traffic. As you head home on this Friday, you're going to do a little bit of crawling on the way. Here's the Beltline at Rimrock right now. You can see traffic gradually working its way along. Some areas are only moving as slow as about 11 miles per hour or 14 miles per hour. So it is indeed slow going on this Friday for the Beltline. We're also seeing a lot of brake lights downtown as well as folks get ready to get off and head home. So pack the patience. It's taking you about 34 minutes to get from the interstate all the way to University, along with John Nolan to Verona Road. That's taking you just under 15 minutes as of now.
All right, we'll check back and get some exact timing on this snow from you in a few minutes.
All right, sounds good.
All right, thank you, Chris. First at 4, while we wait for the snow, people on the East Coast faced another day of disruption from a November snowstorm that paralyzed roads across the region. Traffic
is slowly moving again in the city after the storm brought America's biggest city to a messy standstill. Local officials are being criticized after the intense storm shut down the city during rush hour. The storm arrived earlier and dropped more snow than expected, nearly 6.5 inches in New York City. Several inches of snow fell from Missouri to Massachusetts and is blamed for at least 8 deaths. And with snow and ice on the way here, safe driving practices are a must.
According to one report, Madisonians are some of the safest winter drivers around. Our Killy Arthur is on the weather patio to share if locals agree. Killy?
Well, Allstate ranked Madisonians as the 5th safest drivers across the country and the 5th least likely to get in a collision during the winter weather. Now, the report looked at 200 cities nationwide, ranking them on things like the average years between claims for drivers and the relative likelihood for a driver to file a claim. The report came out yesterday, and Madison ranked 3rd overall in 2017. But do the professionals here agree with such high rankings?
I don't know. I see a lot of people in the ditch, so they don't generally choose to be there on their own, so.
State troopers say there is always room for improvement. When the snow starts to fall tonight, distance yourself from drivers. Always wear a seatbelt. Avoid texting. And if you do end up in a ditch, that is okay. But remember, stay in your car and then call for help. And we can pat ourselves on the back a little bit. We ranked far higher than our neighbors to the east. Milwaukee was at 67.
People don't choose to be in the ditch?
No.
That's surprising.
Yeah, news to me, Mark.
All right, Keely.
Thanks, Kelly.
A local middle school teacher accused of yelling the N-word at a student has resigned. The Madison Metropolitan School District confirms the teacher will no longer work at any of the schools in the district. The teacher was accused of yelling the N-word at a 12-year-old during a social studies class at Velma Hamilton Middle School last month. The student's mother tells News 3 that she is pleased that the district stuck to its mission and showed racism will not be tolerated. The district superintendent wrote a letter to staff that 2 other incidents involving inappropriate racial language have been reported since the Hamilton incident. Madison Teachers Inc. will hold a special meeting this weekend to discuss the situation.
There could be a recount in the race for Wisconsin Attorney General. Republican Attorney General Brad Schimmel will announce on Monday whether he plans to seek a recount in his race against Democrat Josh Kaul. The Wisconsin Elections Commission released the results of canvassed vote totals that show Kaul got 17,190 more votes than Schimmel. That is within the 1 percentage point margin that would allow for a recount, but Schimmel would have to pay for it.
President Donald Trump says that he has answered written questions from special counsel Robert Mueller, but hasn't yet submitted them. Trump told reporters at the Oval Office that he answered the questions, quote, very easily this week, but added that you have to always be careful. The president did not say when he would turn over the answers. CNN has won its initial battle with the White House over the decision to pull reporter Jim Acosta's White House press pass. A federal judge has ordered that Acosta's pass must be reinstated while the court considers the case. CNN's lawsuit alleges that Acosta's First and Fifth Amendment rights were violated. Judge Timothy Kelly said CNN was likely to prevail on its Fifth Amendment claim because Acosta did not receive an explanation as to why his credentials were revoked, nor was he given the opportunity to rebut the White House's decision.
This is just any other day here at the White House for me. I would like to get back to work.
We want total freedom of the press. It's very important to me. It's more important to me than anybody would believe. But you have to act with respect. You're in the White House.
And the White House says it is creating rules for future press conferences, saying there needs to be some decorum. President Trump hinted that he could try to revoke Acosta's pass again in the future.
President Trump awarded 7 Americans with the Presidential Medal of Freedom at the White House. Some of the honorees were legends from the past who have not been yet recognized. Nicole Killian is in Washington with more.
President Trump reached back into history today to award 7 Americans with the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
The king of rock and roll, the true king, and you have to say that, Elvis Aaron Presley.
In awarding Elvis Presley the medal, the president described the legendary musician's humble beginnings in Memphis, his rise to superstardom, and the one Elvis Presley concert Mr. Trump saw in Las Vegas.
The fans were ripping the place apart, screaming. They were going crazy, and they announced Elvis has left the house.
President Trump called Presley deeply patriotic, citing his military service at the height of his career, saying he had a choice, but to Presley, it wasn't a choice. From the king of rock and roll to the sultan of SWAT, the president also awarded baseball great Babe Ruth, adding that he was one of the best pitchers of all time.
Raised money and raised hell. He was, maybe that's why it's taken him a long time to get this award. This award should have been given to him a long time ago.
Rounding out the 7 receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom was retiring Utah Senator Orrin Hatch, the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, Miriam Adelson, a medical doctor, philanthropist, and wife to billionaire Republican donor Sheldon Adelson, football legend Roger Staubach, and Ellen Page, an African-American football Hall of Famer who became a justice on Minnesota's Supreme Court. In Washington, Nicole Killian for WISC News 3.
Some critics have called Miriam Adelson's award into question because of her husband's $30 million contribution to then-candidate Trump's presidential campaign. And we have an update on that painting by David Hockney we showed you last night. It was sold at auction last night at Christie's for $90 million. The price for Portrait of an Artist, Pool with Two Figures, eclipses the current record holder, Balloon Dog, by Jeff Koons. That sold for $58.4 million back in 2013. They're expecting $80 million. Yeah, that's right.
90.
Wow.
Amazing. Well, still to come at 4, the NFL has come under fire for the way it handles concussion injuries many players suffer. Now the league is donating millions of dollars to medical facilities across the country to help in the study of brain injuries. We'll find out more when Live at 4 continues. The NFL, has given Boston Children's Hospital more than $14 million to study brain injuries. It's part of the $35 million the league is giving to 5 institutions to conduct research on thousands of former players. A 2017 study published in JAMA found that 202 former players, including those from college and high school, nearly 87% of them had evidence of brain disease. Brain injury is also a concern for student athletes, as any parent will tell you. New results released from a University of Wisconsin-Madison study are showing the importance of athletic trainers in high schools when it comes to treating injuries like concussions. Our Madeline O'Neill is in the news center to explain. Maddie?
Susan and Mark, most high schools in Wisconsin have an athletic trainer available. That's a licensed healthcare professional who acts as the front line of care when a student is injured. What varies is how much access students have to the athletic trainers, who can work on site anywhere from 1 to 45 hours a week. The UW study compares more than 30 high schools across Wisconsin and their response to sports-related concussions, dividing them by low, moderate, and high athletic trainer availability. Results show that athletes attending schools with low athletic trainer availability waited longer to be seen for concussions, were less likely to be diagnosed, and were less likely to undergo proper return to sport protocol than students at schools with athletic trainers who spent more time at the school.
Every school administrator we talk to in our study, or when we do surveys around the state, they will admit that having athletic trainers available is ideal, and they would like to have more, but they're pushed by their athletic budgets, what they can do.
Dr. Tim McGuine, lead researcher on the study, suggests parents get involved and ask questions about athletic trainers at their children's schools. The study shows the difference between schools with high athletic trainer availability and low athletic availability can mean as much as a day's difference in evaluating a sports-related concussion. Coming up at 6, we'll introduce you to an area athletic trainer and hear why that position can be so valuable in high schools.
All right, Madeline O'Neill live in the News Center. Thank you. Stocks ended mostly higher on Wall Street thanks to some encouraging news about trade with China. The Dow Industrials added 123 points, ending the week at 25,413. The Nasdaq Composite Index fell 11, but the S&P 500 managed to gain 6. Well, the Goodman Community Center will give out Thanksgiving baskets to thousands of families in need in the Madison area.
It's a program partnered by the Center, WISC-TV, and the UW Athletic Department. Amanda Quintana is at the Goodman Center tonight, where they're preparing for tomorrow's giveaway. Amanda?
Yes, well, I am here with Becky Steinhoff, who is the executive director here at the Goodman Community Center. Now, this program has a lot of history. Tell me a little bit about how it started.
Sure, absolutely. I started at the center 28 years ago, and the Thanksgiving basket program started about 2 years before I got here. But it was really small. It was 50 families, then we broke 100, and then it just kept growing and growing. And now, for the last several years, we have filled 3,500 Thanksgiving baskets, reaching about 21,000 unique individuals who get to eat from this effort.
And you said each year you see that hunger continue to grow.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, hunger is a real issue in our community.
Tell me how it affects those families that can now really have a Thanksgiving dinner because of this.
Well, Thanksgiving is an American tradition, and I mean, imagine not having the food to eat and not being able to celebrate with your family. It allows them to come together, to not have to worry about food, to lower their stress for that day, and just be a part of an American tradition that we all are part of.
And we have a bunch of volunteers here. Now there's hundreds of volunteers that participate, but why is this something that you think the community really gets involved in? Why is it important?
Because it is an American tradition, and people, I think, universally understand that hunger is a really bad thing, and we all need to be responsible and part of eliminating hunger in our community. And this is one of the most heartwarming parts of my job each year. This is 100% community-driven donations of food and cash to pull it together in volunteer time. It's just really, within a month it all happens.
All right. Thank you so much, Becky, Mark, and Susan. We will send it back to you.
All right, and they pick up the food tomorrow.
Yes, big day.
Big day.
Thank you, Amanda.
What a great tradition. Well, there's more to come at 4. Black Friday is a week from today.
If you have kids on your shopping list, stay tuned.
From a toy that makes you feel like a wizard to a dog that does tricks, I'm Laura Podesta with a look at the hottest holiday toys this season.
Take a look at this. That late autumn snowstorm caused havoc on the East Coast, but not everyone is inconvenienced. In fact, Bebe the panda was having the time of her life at the Smithsonian National Zoo in Washington, D.C. Now, we've seen this before. Apparently, pandas love to do somersaults down snowy hills. I don't know why that is. Despite the inclement conditions, a lot of Bebe's fans showed up at the zoo to watch her antics.
Oh, she is so happy.
I just feel like that's a live leaked video of me playing.
Yeah,
in the
I was
snow
going to say this is Chris Reese actually in the backyard. We could just superimpose that over and look the same.
Yeah.
It's Friday, November 16th. It is Have a Party with Your Bear Day. Dig out your teddy bear and party, or if you have a real bear, sit down and have some cake with that. Good luck.
It is also National Fast Food Day. The first White Castle opened on this date in 1921 in Wichita, Kansas. McDonald's served its first Happy Meal in 1979.
That's hard to believe.
It is, and it's National Button Day. We'll celebrate by wearing something with buttons, which is everything.
Everything?
It also celebrates the hobby of collecting buttons.
There's a day for everything, isn't there?
There is.
Button
There
Day.
really is. I wonder when National Snow Day is. We're going to celebrate that one. For
Well, I'll look it up for you.
Okay, in the meantime, we're tracking our own first glance of true accumulating snow coming in this weekend. I'll have the latest details on what we can expect here in southern Wisconsin coming up. It's an alert day tonight and into tomorrow as we expect our first accumulating snow to really put down a couple inches as we go through tonight and into tomorrow. Winter weather advisories for all of the counties that you see shaded in the purple. That does include us here in Madison. Here's a better look at those winter weather advisories. It goes into effect at 9 o'clock tonight. It's going to last through 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, both for snow and some freezing drizzle that we could see at the onset of this system. And those winter weather advisories go all the way back through parts of southern southern Minnesota, along with northern Iowa, which is really going to pick up the bulk of the snowfall. I'll break that down in just a bit. But today we did reach a high of 38 degrees. That was right around 11 o'clock. Temperatures then began to fall from there as a cold front came through. We are now at 35 degrees, winds out of the west and northwest at 8 miles per hour. And so we've actually watched the temperatures drop 4 degrees now as opposed to where we were at this time yesterday, and that cooler air will continue to sink its way on in. Here's the westerly and northwesterly winds behind that cold front as well, but that's working together to actually give us a little bit of a wind chill. That's in the upper 20s right now in Madison. 25 the wind chills, you work your way up towards the Dells. 24 the wind chill in Wautoma right now. Actual temperatures though are mainly in the 30s for all of us. That freezing line just to our north, and I do think as we go through about the next 3 to 4 hours, we'll see those air temperatures begin to drop towards freezing, if not below. But here's the temperature spread across the upper Midwest as a whole. And here's what I want to point out. It's 46 in Des Moines, yet 34 in Waterloo. This area where you have a big change in temperature over a short distance. We call that a tight temperature gradient. Where that temperature gradient is the strongest as snow moves in is typically where you begin to see your best banding of heavy snowfall develop. And I do think that's going to be over northeastern Iowa and into extreme southwestern Wisconsin as we go through the rest of the night. And that's an Alberta Clipper system moving in that's going to bring the snow. I talked about that. That's a low level or a regional low pressure that gets caught up over the Canadian Rockies into the jet stream. And they move very quickly, but typically bring about 1 to 3 inches of snow in their wake. That's exactly what we're going to be seeing. We're tracking this right now. Already we're starting to see some of those bands of snow develop over northeastern Iowa. Here's that system as a whole that's going to continue to work its way towards the south and east as we go through the next several hours and into the night. So let's go ahead and break it all down for you. By about 9 o'clock, we'll begin to watch the snows increase from the west. Then towards midnight and into the early hours of the morning, that's when the snow is really going to overspread the entire region, working its way on through. Here we are at 5 a.m. tomorrow, temperatures in the 20s, winds coming out of the north, along with that snow as well. But by the time we get you towards 8:30, we taper off to flurries, and then by 9 o'clock, that should be out of here. We may actually even see some clearing into the afternoon, but temperatures are going to be held likely right around freezing for those highs. The impacts, though, mainly moderate snow. We're not looking at any sleet or a lot of wind. We could see a glaze of freezing rain at the onset that could cause some slippery travel. But other than that, those are the two things we're watching. Anywhere from about 1 to 3 inches of snow. Again, the farther north and east you are, the lower your totals are going to be. The closer you are to south and western Wisconsin, the higher your totals will be. In fact, that's where I think 2 to 4 inches of snow could be. And farther into northeastern Iowa, some of them could see 4 to 6, maybe even 7 inches of snow. Some of the latest model data is really upping the ante on that snowfall along the greatest forcing that they will see in Iowa. But again, 1 to 3 inches, 2 to 4 here in south central Wisconsin. Then temperatures do begin to moderate. We will feel better by Thanksgiving, with temperatures maybe going above average for the first time so far in the month of November. 27 tonight, 1 to 4 inches of snow. That light snow will likely develop and really overspread the region after midnight. 32 degrees tomorrow. The snow will come to an end early with some clearing as we work our way into the afternoon and evening. But folks, it's more sunshine once we get through that. 33 on Monday, 35 by the time we get you into Tuesday, 40 by Wednesday. And we're going to be staying dry as we work our way over into Turkey Day. Hopefully your turkey is not dry. Can't take credit for that, though. I stole that one from Dave Caulfield. I heard him say it earlier. But yeah, we're going to have rain chances then moving in as we get you into Black Friday, and then another chance of rain and snow by next Sunday. So ultimately, it's a drier and a bit warmer of a pattern, but we're going to watch the snow tonight first.
Okay.
But better travel for Thanksgiving.
Better travel for Thanksgiving compared to tomorrow morning.
Good timing.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep. Thanks, Chris. Well, Christmas is not that far off.
What do kids want this year? Laura Podesta has a look at this year's hottest holiday toys.
But it really does look like it's flying.
The magic of the holiday season is already here. This snitch from Harry Potter is expected to literally fly off the shelves. So is the toilet paper blaster. Just add water, load, and it shoots spitballs more than 30 feet.
Almost got you.
We review toys every single day. We eat, live, breathe toys.
The Toy Insider's Lori Schacht tells us kids really want a toy with an element of surprise. Hatchimals were a big hit the past couple of years. This year, the Boxy Girls come with packages. You have to unbox them to find out what's inside.
I got these gorgeous pair of shoes.
Scruffaloves start out small.
What comes in the box is this, either in pink or blue.
But once you put it in water, wash it, and dry, it magically turns into a kitty, bunny rabbit, or dog.
And this is Ricky. He's a trick-loving pup.
Put a bone on this dog's nose and he flips it into his mouth. Feed him treats, and yes, he'll eventually go to the bathroom.
There he goes, number 2.
Rescue runts are also expected to be in high demand. Each pup starts out looking worse for wear.
You have a broken leg.
And he's got a broken leg, so you're going to unbandage him.
But with a little love and care, kids transform them into soft and cuddly plush pets. Classic toys like Legos, as well as retro video games, are also on wish lists. Schacht says parents need to move fast because many of these toys will sell quickly. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
Oh, the spitball one. I don't know if parents are going to want that
And
one.
a dog that poops? I got 2 of those.
That's right.
Next week here on Live at 4, we'll look at some of the hottest toys for big people, the best electronic gadgets now available.
But when we come back, if you're a fan of author J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series, a trip to the movies may be in order.
The latest magical film in her series opens today. We'll preview Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. And Live at 4 continues. Here's a look at downtown Madison. What's the holdup there? What's the
It's a
traffic?
busy Friday afternoon
guess it is.
downtown.
Bethel Lutheran Church. Unruly beasts and wizards shake up the wizardry world as J.K. Rowling's magical saga continues.
It is the second installment of the Fantastic Beasts franchise, which opens in theaters today. Rick Damigella has a preview.
The clock is ticking faster. My dream. We who live for truth, for love. The moment has come to take our rightful place in the world where we wizards were free. Join me or die.
Eddie Redmayne's Newt Scamander is on a mission to capture a dark wizard played by Johnny Depp in Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald.
The wizarding and non-wizarding worlds have been at peace for over a century. Grindelwald wants to see that peace destroyed.
Jude Law is a young Albus Dumbledore who guides Newt during his quest.
Do you know why I admire you, Newt? You do not seek power. You simply ask, is the thing right?
David Yates, director of the first Fantastic Beasts film and the last 4 Harry Potter movies, returns for this latest installment.
One of the things he does for all the scale and the kind of the vastness and production value of the Beast films, he somehow creates an environment that feels small and intimate.
By the end of the first day, I felt like I'd done every Harry Potter film.
Muggles are not lesser. Not disposable.
You're too good, Newt. You never met a monster you couldn't love.
In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
And we'll find out what Will Loper thinks of this film Monday.
From the movies, we head under the waves next on Live at 4.
Our Michael Bruno goes backstage for Janesville Parker High School's production of The Little Mermaid. That's when Live at 4 continues.
We are watching the traffic continue to build up on this Friday. Here's the Beltline at Rimrock right now, looking towards the interstate. And yes, we are seeing a lot of those brake lights working their way off towards the east right now. But yes, plenty of traffic out there, along with one accident that is between John Nolan and Park Street. So, of course, we are going to be keeping a close eye on that. But otherwise, it is very slow going on the Beltline. Also slow going downtown. University as well has a lot of traffic on it, so be prepared for that as you do begin to head out. We also have another accident on Highway 14 out farther towards the south.
All right, Chris, thank you. Joseph from the Joseph's Machine YouTube channel starts with chips and salsa on a robot vacuum so the food comes to you. It also keeps the table clean if you spill. That's a good idea. Next, he puts corn on the cob on a paint roller with melted butter in a paint tray to make it easier to eat and keeps your hands clean, too. After using a sander to grate cheese onto the main course, he puts a fork in a drill to easily swirl the spaghetti. Joseph prides himself in solving everyday problems using familiar objects in unfamiliar ways. That looks very dangerous.
I was just going to say,
don't hit the button.
You're going to set the table with the drill at each play setting.
You got the rumba and the paint can.
The rumba looked a little challenging, too, with the chips and dip.
Thanks for sharing, Joseph. In 1989, Disney released the film The Little Mermaid, based on the classic story by Hans Christian Andersen about a mermaid who dreams of the world above the sea.
That movie was turned into a Broadway musical in 2008, and that musical hits the stage at Janesville Parker High School this weekend. Our Michael Bruno went backstage to check out The Little Mermaid.
The seaweed is always greener in somebody else's lake. You dream about going up there, but that is a big mistake.
The Little Mermaid is the story of a mermaid named Ariel, and she's lived under the sea her whole life, and she's always wanted to explore above.
And she's eager to explore beyond her boundaries, which I think a lot of people can relate to at some point in their life.
Her friend Sebastian tries to convince her that underwater is better during Under the Sea.
She has a big fascination with the human world.
And when she goes up, she sees a prince and she falls in love with him. So all she starts thinking about is how she'd rather be with him.
So she trades her voice to the sea witch so she can get legs and go experience the land.
Your magic shell. You've heard about it? Father says it's the source of all your witchcraft.
Nonsense, darling.
He says you die without it.
Die? Oh, please. It's a bauble, a vessel for your voice.
When she gets to land, she has 3 days to fall in love with the prince and try to convince him to fall in love with her with no voice.
And there are a lot of struggles along the way, and because she can't speak to him. And in the end, Ursula wants to have her soul.
Come on, you poor unfortunate soul. Go ahead, make your choice. I'm a very busy woman and I haven't got all day. It won't cost much, just your voice.
We're backstage in the costume department. Tell me a little bit about the beautiful costumes here. Let's start with this one.
Okay, we're very lucky to rent the professional touring set from Kansas City Costume Company. So this is an example of one of our Mer sisters. It's comprised of 3 parts. We have a gorgeous tail, an apron, and a little skirt that hides their heelys so they can glide around the stage.
Beautiful.
Behind you is our incredible Ursula.
Ah.
You'll see it is made with this amazing skeleton of hoops inside. And you have 3 parts. Your tentacles that have LED lights throughout. You have a beautiful bodice back behind me and matching gloves. Perfect for the evil villainess in all of us.
If you want to cross the bridge, my sweet, you've got to pay the toll. Take a gulp and take a breath. Go ahead and sign the scroll. Flotsam, jetsam, now I got it, boys. The boss is on a roll. You poor unfortunate
I really like Bart the Villain. It's a lot of fun.
Under the sea, under the sea, under the sea, under the sea.
And how did you go about approaching the Jamaican accent for the show?
So I've done a lot of accents in different roles. I've done Italian accents, I've done French accents, I've done Scottish accents. But this one was a little tougher This one is a little out of the norm, so I watched a lot of videos, I listened to other people talking in Jamaican accents, and eventually I got it.
I'm always impressed at your range of the characters that you've played. And I know that it's interesting you've played human beings. Yes. You've also played the classic Disney princesses. Mm-hmm. It's such a stretch of your prowess as an actress. Do you prefer playing the characters, or do you prefer based like Mary Poppins?
They're both fantastic in different ways. I love doing all of the characters. Disney, it's more the lighthearted, and you get to explore the more bright-eyed, doughy-eyed character, and then different characters I've done, like in Carousel, it's more deep, and it just brings out a different side of me as an actress, which is always fun.
That looks like a great show.
It's a shame that those kids can't sing, they can't dance, they have no personalities. There's just
incredible talent.
And their voice she has.
Oh, they all are just incredibly talented. I still think there's something in the water in Janesville because those kids are amazing.
It's just fun to watch the sets and the costumes and the colors. It just looks like such a fun show.
It is one of the most vibrant shows I think I've seen there because everything. I mean, the sets are beautiful. Those costumes are out of this world, and it just explodes into the theater. It's really astonishing.
Those are professional costumes that they rent.
Yes, they did rent most of the costumes, but the costumer there had to augment them for the kids because those are professional costumes that came. But she added her own touch to a lot of those costumes, and they're just absolutely stunning.
Nice grouper.
Yes, thank you. I know. I had
a fish shirt.
I know. I had the theme. I have to wear the themes of things.
I'm glad you didn't go as a mermaid. Let's leave it there. The Little Mermaid, Janesville Parker High School. It's this weekend, tonight at 7, tomorrow at 1 and 7, and Sunday at 1. Tickets $15 at the door. Worth seeing.
It is worth seeing, absolutely.
All right, 2 weeks. We're off next week. There's no show on Black Friday. I'll be shopping.
Yep.
So after that?
After that, we'll have a Christmas story, we'll have a Christmas carol, and a Christmas extravaganza.
Christmas coming up?
Yes.
Okay, good.
It is. Right after Thanksgiving, I think.
Have a nice Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
Michael.
Thanksgiving to you, too.
Right. And we'll be right back with the final Check Your Forecast. All right, no trouble getting home this afternoon, but tonight.
Tonight, especially right around 10 o'clock, that's when the snow will move in. By the time we get you towards about 9 o'clock tomorrow, I think most folks will be in the 1 to 3 inch range. And that's mainly for Madison and points west. North and east of Madison up towards Fond du Lac and Wautoma, I think are going to be more so in that 1 inch range. And then as you get out towards Mineral Point, 2 to 4 inches of snow.
All right, the first big snowstorm of the season.
Yep,
the first one.
That's right. At least it's Saturday morning. We don't have to worry about school and going to work. And
that's good timing.
Good time.
That's unfortunate for the kids who want a snow day. But yes, it is good time.
I don't think you get a snow day with 1 to 4 inches.
That is so true.
All right, Chris, thank you. Monday here on Live Before, Dr. Zorba Pastor will be here, and he'll be taking your medical questions live.
And film critic Will Loper will look at the controversial gay conversion movie, Boy Erased. That's coming up Monday on Live Before. Lola and Louie found a number of zoo babies having the time of their lives.
And some entering the world for the first time. Here's this week's edition of Lola's Lowdown. This week on the Lowdown, talk about a baby elephant walk.
The grace of a baby tiger, not.
And watch Komodo dragons enter the world.
But first, much of the country is experiencing the first snow of the season, and these 2 leopard cubs at the Brookfield Zoo in Chicago were let outside to play in it for the first time. Samson and Jeelan were born in April, so this is their first encounter with Old Man Winter. These are Amur leopards, and they are the northernmost subspecies of leopard in the world, found only in isolated populations in Russia. So winter is not foreign to their relatives, but living in Chicago, get used to it, guys.
A Peruvian zoo is celebrating treasured new additions, 3 Bengal white tiger cubs, one of the world's most endangered species. Zookeepers say the birth of the tigers, 1 female and 2 males, represents an important contribution to saving the animals from extinction. Mother Clarita is an attentive mom, but keeping these 3 under check can be a losing battle. The 2-month-old tigers are in great health. They weigh 18 pounds each and are being fed 11 pounds of meat and chicken every day. That's good eating.
The San Diego Zoo released a time-lapse video of 4 Komodo dragons hatching, the second largest successful clutch of Komodo dragons hatched at a North American